Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today my video is related to brand new Begode EX.N. It's just out of the box and now I'm going to disassemble it, check every detail of it with great attention, and we will definitely discuss its build quality, how everything was made. I'm really curious about the motor covers paint, whether it's better than in RS, which was previously on my channel, or maybe it is getting worse. Of course, I will do the top level tuning for this wheel as well. I will show you it in details. Again, they've put the shitty off-road tire to this wheel, which is purchased for the fast and torquey ride over the concrete and asphalt roads. Of course, the owner of this wheel already purchased the half slick tire, and I will change it here. But anyway, I must note that this EX.N came in the version which doesn't include full shitty bundle. We see here the good old pedals which came before in Gateway or Begode wheels. I like them much more than the shitty honeycombs because they are really light, and if you put here a lot of spikes, it's still really comfortable and good to ride with them. And of course, these good old pedals are much more reliable than honeycombs, and you may be confident that they will not break under your legs and break your legs as well. Traditionally, I have a top-level tuning kit of parts and accessories from EUCYou brand, and now let's do a quick review of what we have to install here today on this wheel. Here we have custom pedal hangers with 10mm lift. I will talk about these pedal hangers later on, compare them with the stock ones and show you what the difference is between the stock ones and the custom. These pedal hangers includes the set of high quality bolts with enhanced hardness, so the rider will be sure that they are durable and he can ride safely on the new pedal hangers without bothering of bolts cracking or something like that. Also, we have a custom pedal hangers here. They look really cool. They are made according to old best practices of custom pedals creation. So they have here big holes through which all dirt, sand and shit will go outside of the pedals. They have a lot of spikes here, which a lot of users like a lot. I also do like this design where we have a lot of spikes on the pedals. This gives a lot of grip. And of course, those pedals are really light. So let's check its weight. The weight is 514 grams. This means that two pedals will give you 1 kilogram, which is much better than Begode honeycombs. Also, the set of pedals includes these custom axles, so they are also reinforced and hardened. And you may be sure that they will not bend inside your pedal hanger, and you won't have any problems that your axle will stuck inside the pedal hangers and you can disassemble your wheel. Another cool killer feature of these pedals is that guys from EUCYou can make these decorations. I mean these holes here by your template just for you. So if you feel you want unique style for your pedals, if you want to be one of the coolest guy for the big group rides, feel free to create your own template for this decoration. Send it to EUCYou guys and they will make your own unique pedals just for you. Also, the owner of this wheel ordered this anti-spark plug, which will help him to do the wheel maintenance safely. And also we have here the fiberglass protection shell of premium quality. I don't know if the camera shows you the color of it, but you can believe that with my eyes I'm really impressed with this color. This looks really fascinating for me. And of course, this fiberglass protection is done with perfect tolerances. It will perfectly fit for your wheel, and of course those fiberglass protections from EUCYou are really the best ones currently available on the market. And of course, I will leave the link in the description below to this video, to the EUCYou Instagram. Feel free to check it. You can find there a lot of accessories and parts for every Gateway or Begode wheel, which will make your wheel look unique. And of course, all the stuff will be of premium quality. Of course, I will cover today an important problem of covering the bearings from aggressive environment with the help of these sealers. Those sealers are from Vasyok Pro. I will traditionally leave his Telegram nickname in the description of this video. So if you have the RS version 3 or brand new EX.N, feel free to order those sealers to ride in snow, rains or road reagents without bothering of bearings problems on your wheels. Let's discuss the assembly quality of this wheel, starting with the motor. You may see I've already created the cool gaskets here on the covers. I've already changed the bearings to these ones. In the previous video about RS version 3, I've already showed you that these bearings which are installed in stock are much worse than SKF. So now, as the bearings have been changed, the owner of this wheel will forget about any problems with the motor for quite a long time. Speaking about the painting of the covers, it's really good. I do not see any problems or fails with that. It doesn't like come out by itself. The only thing where the bolts were screwed in, there is small damage of the paint, but that's pretty normal. It's not really the problem, because when you tighten these bolts hardly, they will definitely damage the part of the paint here on these holes. The other cover painting looks also nice. I must also note that the guys who did the assembly of this wheel didn't even scratch the cover paint with the wooden screws which are protruding into the wheel well. There are just some little scratches here, but they are not going through the whole paint to the metal, so we can neglect that. We can say that this wheel was assembled kinda gently and accurately. As for the stator, it looks really nice. I just added some more sealant here on the Hall sensor PCB, because I think it was not properly fixed by sealant here. Also, I found some issues with these plastic insulation details here. I will show you right now on the video that.
В общем, разобрал мотор. Тоже новый прикол, блять, от Begode, то, что я нашел. Вот здесь вот, короче, это изоляция между, значит, железом, да, получается, и обмотками. Видишь, эти пластиковые штучки такие. Значит, я смотрю, ну, сейчас не видно, свет слишком хороший, а так вот, ну, может быть, чуть-чуть видно будет под углом. Ну, какие-то, знаешь, как черные вкрапления или типа того. Я такой смотрю, думаю, что за херня, ржавчина я видел, такого не видел. Вот, а это, оказывается, вот в определенном месте, вот только здесь, я не знаю, короче, торчат вот эти вот, торчит эта изоляция, ну, может быть, это остатки литников или еще что, какие-то они странные, в общем, ну, они как бы выступают, но тут же зазор как бы минимальный между статором и ротором, соответственно, я вот тут уже немножко подсковыривал, чтобы оно там нигде не цепляло, вот так вот маленькой отверточкой, вон, видишь, летает мусор.
And yeah, I haven't found any soldering bolts or dangerous objects inside the details of the motor, so I may say that this is really cool. Speaking about the rotor, it's also good. They didn't drill any extra holes here, so I really like that. The only issue is that I found a lot of strange dirt here on the magnets. I will show you right now on the video.
Вот, ну и здесь, короче, тоже вот какой-то невнятный мусор. То есть вот эта вот хрень, как бы она еще магнитится, видишь, частичка, вон она, оп, улетает, да. То есть вот какие-то магнитные частицы, их тут в принципе тоже до хера по всему, так скажем, статору. Ой, какому статору? Ротору. Что я несу-то? По всему ротору, короче, ну он, видишь, ну тоже сейчас зубочисткой почищу, в общем, очень странно, какой-то мусор там болтается. Вот. Ну, это ничего страшного, сейчас вычистим, просто как бы немножко дольше получится. Ну и как бы сколы, обычная история. Ну, он тоже вон здесь, непонятно как-то. Все в этом мусоре, короче. Вот пока что нашел.
And here, of course, we can see the cracked pieces of the magnets, but this is pretty normal, not just only for Begode, but other wheel manufacturers. So this is like pretty normal. And overall, speaking about this particular motor, I must say that it is done much better than the one I've seen in RS version 3. I am satisfied with the assembly quality of this motor, disregarding just some minor issues with that plastic insulators and cleaning up the magnets from the dirt inside. Now let's talk about battery's HydroProtection quality. So you see here Samsung 50G elements. It's the battery of latest batches, and let's inspect it a little bit. Notice how they cut windows in this foam tape for the new type of BMS. The elements are protruding here. So here I don't see any problems. The sealant covers all the shrinkable tape parts very well. So here we can see the small problem. The sealant is not in its place. So here is the parts of the shrinkable tape, and we need to cover that to prevent any water ingress inside the battery here. Next battery is also Samsung 50G. Let's check this out. So Here I can see the problem. You see I'm putting my toothpick there really easily. So we need to cover that as well with the sealant to prevent any water ingress inside the battery. By the way, this is the power cable entrance in the battery. So on the other side of the battery I don't see any issues. Looks okay. Third battery, also Samsung 50G. So here is one hole in the sealant where I can put my toothpick really easy. So another one here. So on this side someone put the sealant, but something went wrong. Maybe they touched it with the hand and there is not so much layer of the sealant here. So I think I have to add it to make it more reliable. On the other side of the battery there are also some minor problems with the sealant coverage here and here as well. You see I'm putting toothpick inside. So here also someone missed the target. So I need to put more sealant here. So overall the quality is not still satisfying, and you need to check all the batteries with as much attention as possible to be confident that no water will get inside the batteries and you won't have any problems with them.
You must understand that my techno is minimal. I play more minimal than everybody. Listen to my tick, 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 tick tocks. What? Yeah.
So I've disassembled this wheel and I'm really disappointed by its quality. So first of all, the whole controller assembly with heatsink is being fixed by these fucking wooden screws. You see here there are extra plastic for wooden screws, and here and here it is a little bit damaged. I don't know whether it's melted or physically damaged, but it already looks like unreliable. And if we take a look here at this heatsink assembly, here we have like 5 millimeters thick. It's pretty heavy, and what holds it is just these fucking wooden screws. I must note that now you can't disassemble parts of the inner shell because here there is an extra screw which holds two parts together, and to disassemble it you have to remove this heatsink assembly with the controller and other boards. And of course when you unscrew and screw back these fucking wooden screws, those screw holders are getting worse, and one day there will be no tight fixation of this assembly. And just imagine one thing, that when you are riding 60 kilometers per hour on this wheel, the only thing which saves your health and life is these fucking wooden screws. And if they will untight due to vibrations, which will obviously be on this wheel when you are jumping, when you are riding roads, you might get some tremor of this wheel at high speed, and you know the result will be very upset. When we take a look at the back of the heatsink, another question rises, which I do not have an answer for, is that why didn't they do the radiator ribs here? Because there is a window here in the wheel well, and it is really obvious for everyone that rotating motor with the tire there will create some airflow, which can help heat dissipation from here. And for example, in RS heatsink, it is done with ribs here, and RS doesn't have any problems with overheating. But here they just didn't do that. And of course, if you just blow on this piece of aluminum, the effect of heat dissipation won't be noticeable, and it really requires some radiator ribs. I don't know why they didn't do this. This is kinda insane. If we take a look here at the whole assembly, it is also really strange for me. Why didn't they move, for example, this Bluetooth speaker module somewhere there where there is a lot of space, and it is obviously to install it there, and add an extra heatsink here. I don't know who did this. This is really worst design I ever seen. Especially if we understand that this is a really powerful wheel and it requires a lot of heat dissipation due to its power. So top wheel requires top level tuning, and now let's talk about how I'm going to fix these failures and fuck ups of Begode employees, how I'm going to fix all these problem points to avoid any future problems for the owner of this wheel and to make it solid and reliable for him. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of these fucking wooden screws. I will melt these thread bushings inside the inner shell to make the heatsink assembly really tight and reliable. You see here there is a piece of plastic which left on my table from the Tesla lift, and I've already checked that it works really fine. It melts inside really tight and holds perfectly. I'm really satisfied with this solution, and I will do it in future wheels, and of course I will reassemble my MCM5 with these bushings and get rid of the wooden screws as well. So this is a really cool solution to fix up all this shit. And of course, when you have broken thread holders for the wooden screws, you can repair it with these bushings. It's really cool. I will leave the link in the description to this video so you can order and use it by yourself. Next, I will add an extra heatsink here on this side of this aluminum piece. I've already drilled holes here, so I will fix it really tightly with screws and Loctite. And of course I will put here top level thermal paste to make sure that this heatsink will help heat dissipation inside the wheel well. When this wheel will go about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour, and the motor will create significant winds inside the wheel well. On the front side of this heatsink assembly, first of all, I will change the thermal pad here under all MOSFETs to the ceramic thermal pads with the top level thermal paste to let the heat transfer from these FETs of the controller board to this piece of aluminum as fast as possible. I will check the contact between this stock heatsink and this piece of aluminum and change the thermal paste to top level as well. Here on this side, I will get rid of this music Bluetooth board. I will fix it somewhere there. It's a pretty good place for it. And I will install here an extra heatsink. Of course, it is small right now. I've already ordered the bigger one. Its height will be like this. And also I will install an extra fan here, which is 6000 RPMs, 5 volts operation. I will connect it to 5 volts DC-DC converter here. And it will operate once the user will turn on the wheel and will blow this extra heatsink all the time. Of course, this heatsink will be fixed here with the screws, and the top level thermal paste will be between this heatsink and this piece of aluminum as well. And in the end, I will cover the main controller board and DC-DC converter with a special thermal compound, which will protect this electronics from any water ingress inside. As I have disassembled the whole cooling system of the main controller board, let's examine how it was done from the factory. So these MOSFETs, which are producing a lot of heat when you are riding your wheel really hard and fast, were touching the main piece of aluminum by this thermal pad, and by these remains of the thermal paste here, we can make some judgment about how the thermal contact was organized between the MOSFETs and this main piece of aluminum. So for these MOSFETs, we can see it is about 60% of coverage here, but for those two and those two, it was really bad, about 20% or so. And by this, we can conclude that the thermal transfer from the MOSFETs to the main aluminum plate was done really bad. Also pay attention to this part of the main cooling system, because the main radiator heatsink was installed without any thermal paste or thermal pads, and it is just metal by metal, so the thermal transfer from this piece of aluminum to this main radiator heatsink was done really bad. And this really explains what are the problems for Begode with overheating their wheels like EX-N, because the main cooling system requires rebuild before you can run your wheel without any problems safely at high speeds, and not bothering about burning out your controller and falling from your wheel and going to the hospital.
Producer, you just a button pusher. Push the button. What? Push the button. Listen to my tick 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 tocks. Push the button. Push the button. Push the button. Click click. Push the button.
just move about. Let me see you just shock out. Let me see you just move about. Are you ready to shock out? Let me see you just move about. Cause you don't know already what I'm talking about. Let me see you just move about. Are you ready to shock out? Cause you don't know already what I'm talking about. Talking about. Shock out, shock out, shock out, shock out. baby, and show me where the weed's at. Cause you know that I need that. This beat sounds fat, so where's my freaks at? From the front to the back, get the fuck up, cause it's about to drop. Oh no, my motherfuckers, what? You ready to bop my car? Clock's ticking and it can't be stopped. New jam, what? Hot shot, be up in another spot. Just stop already at the tip top. I don't flop when I'm deep in the sound of hip hop. I pop, each video's my stance is like a rock. Tick tock, ready or not, rock is getting hot. Back hot, better stay up in the donut shop. Got a shot, stay on top, make a drop. Roll a spit spark up, and then I bop.
Let me see you just move about.
Let me see you just
Shock out. Let me see you just move about.
Are you ready to
Shock out. Let me see you just move about.
Cause you don't know already what I'm talking about.
Let me see you just move about.
Are you ready to
Shock out. Cow, 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 cow,
That's how the installed heatsink looks like inside the wheel well. So I moved the heatsink a little bit down and to the right side because we have here the tire which will rotate and there will be definitely a lot of sand and dirt particles flowing around here. So I'm pretty sure that this is the best place for heatsink to be installed. On the side of the heatsink I've covered the adjacent areas with the sealant to avoid any water or road reagents ingress down to this heatsink. And to spoil the thermal paste, I've covered all the bolts which are here, here and here with special lacquer to protect them from corrosion. And of course all the bolts are screwed in with the thread locker, which will definitely make sure that no water or road reagents will seep in through the thread of those bolts and go to the other side where the controller board is located. Let's do the quick review. What's the difference between custom pedal hangers and the stock ones? So here you can see how the axle of the motor goes down on 10 millimeters, since it gives you 10 millimeters lift. One of the special features you have to consider is that you have to move these bolt holes down to 10 millimeters, like they are located here on the custom pedal hangers, but that's basically not the problem. You just drill new holes and cover up the old ones and reinforce the inner shell. Here we can see that the area of distribution of your EUC weight on the pedal hanger is much bigger in comparison to the stock ones. This really gives you a lot of reliability to your wheel and will avoid any cracks of the pedal hangers area in the inner shell in future. And traditionally we have this premium pedal axle fixation mechanism from EUCYou, which will give you a lot of comfort with your pedals closing up and holding in the closed position without any problems, and it is really reliable. Unlike the shitty springs from Begode, which I've seen on the AliExpress, are really expensive. They cost a lot of money, and definitely this system should go directly to the trash can. Here I've also put a lot of attention to the reinforcement of the inner shell area where pedal hangers are located. This is the side of inner shell where batteries are located. So here I've melted a lot of plastic with the extra big washers melted inside, which will significantly improve the contact area between the bolt and the plastic of the inner shell. Here I have custom cut washers melted in this area because the original wouldn't fit. Also pay attention that I've melted here the washers with the thread to get rid of the fucking wooden screws. Now the side cover of the wheel will be fixed very tightly here and reliably, and the owner of this wheel can open and close this cover infinite times without any degradation of these places where wooden screws were located originally in this wheel. Thickness of this reinforcement plastic is about 10 millimeters, which is really good and reliable. Also pay attention that I have melted a lot of plastic here on these areas. I couldn't do more because we have batteries here and we are limited in space. But anyway, this looks really reliable and powerful. Inside the wheel well, I've covered the reinforcement ribs with extra plastic to avoid collection of mud, dirt and shit here. That will definitely help this wheel not to collect an extra weight. I've covered protruding wooden screws with plastic as well. Here we can see that custom pedal hangers perfectly fit this area and they will take all the weight of EUC on this area, which is really good. Here I did the same procedure with all three areas, adding an extra plastic here. Also I've covered the old holes, so now I am sure that this part of the wheel is really reliable. It is absolutely the same story on the other side of the inner shell where the controller board is located. The only difference is that we have an extra hole for the cable coming to the speakers on this side of the reinforcement plastic. This is done because the side cover will tightly fit this melted plastic here without any gap. And the main reason of putting cable here is that the Bluetooth music board is located now here. It is also installed here with the thread bushings melted inside the inner shell. Here I also added extra thread bushings to fasten the cooling system with the controller board. Originally we had 6 points of fastening. Right now we have 8, which is much more reliable and much better. And of course I added extra plastic here because here we can see that we have something like a plastic basement and here it was not. So I decided to mod this area like this to make it much more reliable. Here I have added an extra piece of plastic to fasten the extra ventilator, which we will talk about a little bit later when I will assemble the whole cooling system. It is also mounted with this melted thread bushings, which is also really reliable. On this side I also did the same thing with the reinforcement ribs. And of course I've covered all the holes and wooden screws with an extra plastic to make sure that the waterproofing of this wheel will be of greatest quality and will be really reliable. And the same story with extra plastic is in the pedal hangers area as well as it was on the other side, which I showed you before. And here is the location of the Bluetooth music board, which was moved from the main cooling system of the controller board to free extra space for additional heatsink. The motor is assembled and ready now, but before the installation it into the wheel well, we have to protect the bearings from aggressive environment like water, snow and road reagents, and for this purpose I will use these sealers from EUCYou Pro, which were already tested on several wheels and perform really well. Thanks to these protruding elements of the pedal hangers, we have absolutely no problem with installation of sealers on the custom pedal hangers. If we put it like this, we can see that the holder now works perfectly, so there is no need to glue these sealers like I did on the RS. So now I am going to put here a lot of marine grease and install this sealer, and afterwards I will install these pedal hangers and tighten the bolts of it. By the way, I'd like to show you another life hack which I am using during the wheels assembly. Cover these bolt holes on the back side of the pedal hangers with the sealant to prevent road reagents getting inside the threads and thus locking your bolts the way you couldn't even unscrew them.
Niggas put me doing shit like. Live the fast life, go. Where I forgot. Live the fast life, go. Beat like go. Live the fast life, go. Beat like go. Niggas put me through this shit like. Live the fast life. Beat like go. Motherfuckers know who this is. Sitting ones off of the mind. Y'all motherfuckers know who this is. Niggas put me through this shit like. Y'all motherfuckers know.
So I have pre-assembled the wheel for testing purposes, and now let's turn it on and check what is the noise level coming from the custom fan. So that's how it sounds. Please keep in mind that there will be a cover here and the fiberglass protection shell as well, which will reduce a little bit the noise. The fan blows perfectly. I can feel its flow here with my fingers. It's really good. So now I turn the wheel off because it bothers me, and I guess you as well, with these beeping sounds. Because it lays on the side, this is pretty normal for all Gateway and Begode. Every owner knows that. Now the remaining thing to do is to cover the main controller board and the DC-DC converter with the thermal compound, and then I can fully assemble this wheel and give it to the happy owner. It is necessary to note that you have to pay a lot of attention for hydroprotection of the front light of the wheel, because its daytime running light was assembled really badly. You have to disassemble it once more. You have to pour a special lacquer to the LED boards. After assembly it, you have to cover all the holes with the sealant to make sure that no water will go inside and damage this daytime running light and make the short circuit and possibly damage something on DC-DC converter, which is really unnecessary thing for every EUC owner. Of course, it is necessary to pay attention also for the backlight, for the voltmeter. Also, I've covered all the adjacent areas of two parts of the inner shell with the sealant. I've put all charging ports and the buttons on the sealant as well to make sure that no water will get through them inside the wheel where the electronics of EUC is located. So how do I connect this custom fan and the backlight of the custom buttons? So here are two ports which hold 5 volts. The one is used for DRL section of the front light. So I have soldered extra wires to it to power up the backlight of custom buttons. It works very well. And this one, which was marked as USB, is now powering up the custom fan and also works really perfectly. Finally, I finished this project. The wheel is assembled and ready for daily usage. I would like to appreciate the owner of this wheel, Vlad, whose patience led me to work on this wheel for a really long time. It took me 1.5 months to order and get the necessary parts and then to install them. By the way, I will leave the links for the used parts in the description to this video. The wheel is really great and unique now. The premium parts and accessories from EUCYou gave it not only the lift but also the unique style, which is the result of installation of this cool fiberglass shell and the custom pedals. Of course, the fascinating color of this fiberglass protection shell looks really cool with the custom buttons backlight. Pay attention that I have installed the backlight of this wheel without the light diffuser, and now it became a little bit brighter than the stock one. The sealers from EUCYou Pro made the motor of this wheel durable and reliable for a really big mileage. My custom tuning of the cooling system will help a lot to the controller board during the hot summer days. Of course, right now it is impossible to make any tests because now it's winter outside. But I've already checked it a little bit by doing tic-tac at home. So for 10 minutes of instantaneous tic-tac, the controller board temperature sensor showed me 51 degrees, so I consider it's been a good result. Anyway, I will contact the owner of this wheel in summer and ask him for some feedback regarding how this cooling system operates on hot days, and maybe we'll make a short video on this wheel, how it performs and what are the results of this tuning. That's about it. Now I have to finish this video and send this wheel to the happy owner. If you like what I am doing and if you want to support my channel, so consider sending me a little bit of crypto to my wallets, which I will leave in the description below. Also subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment it, and I'll see you later in the next video.